So Jussie Smollett has captivated the minds and the hearts of this entire nation. Jussie Smollett was an actor on a popular show, Empire. He actually was making a lot of money on that show, reportedly like $2 million a year.
Wow.
He was making like something like $150,000 per episode. So he was very compensated. Black gay dude. Let me just do a brief recap for people who are not caught up or people who need to refresh their memory. He first reported that he received a envelope with a powdery substance and a crude drawing of a man hanging from a tree with a gun pointed at him. He says that it said MAGA on the return form. 1 week later, Smollett reported getting jumped in the early morning hours in downtown Chicago by two masked individuals hurling racist and anti-gay slurs. They physically assaulted him, according to the actor, beating him up, pouring a chemical on him, and wrapping a rope around his neck before fleeing. He later checked himself in a hospital with minor injuries. That's almost like a parody of a racial attack. Like they're walking around with a rope and shit and bleach. Sent himself. So what the police say happened is that he sent himself the letter, and when it did not get the attention he wanted, he paid two dudes $3,500 to stage the attack. Mm-hmm. The authorities say they have got ample evidence, including suspicious text messages, surveillance footage, and a copy of the check he paid to the brothers, the actual check.
Fucking paid in a check. That's just the stupidest thing.
Dude, crime 101, dude. I mean, with a check made out to the people that attacked him, it's kind of hard to dispute that. The brothers themselves also implicated Smollett and said, yeah, he paid us. It was a whole stunt. And apparently it's because he thought that he was not being compensated enough on his show. He wanted, sympathy and support. And I think he thought that it would make him a star. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of the times when you get in the center of media attention, and especially when you're the victim of something terrible, all of a sudden, overnight you can become a star. And I think that's what he was hoping would happen. Which is just kind of ironic considering he was sitting so pretty, So I'm sure a lot of you, especially American listeners, have followed this story because it's just really dominated the news because, well, first the story came out and everyone believed him.
And it sounded awful.
It was like, oh my God. And it had this whole MAGA element and it was just like a powder keg. But someone put a noose around his neck, and it was a hate crime, and they hated him because he was gay and black, and it's like, it sounded so awful. But then it started twisting, and the police started investigating that maybe he had faked and staged the crime itself. So from the beginning, the media story was it was so compelling, it was so outrageous. So then what's even more outrageous is that a black gay man would use these people, use the racism and the MAGA and the homophobia to try to uplift himself and use it to his own gain. Mm-hmm. I mean, to pervert justice like that is even more twisted than the attack he allegedly said happened.
Yeah.
I mean, how crazy? I mean, the big problem with faking something like that is now when other stuff like that happens, victims are less likely to be believed.
Yes.
He
both the gay community and the black community really don't need anything like that.
No.
To discredit actual crimes.
God knows that they get plenty of hate crimes already. But now he has single-handedly sown a seed of doubt. He's undermined those communities so badly. Such an awful, treacherous crime, honestly. Just treachery, really. It's so bad. So the police said, after reviewing... so all of a sudden, he was being tried for filing a fake police report and doing all this shit. He was in deep water with the police.
And there was... Like you said, there was plenty of evidence, apparently. So
plenty of evidence.
It was pretty much obvious at this point that he lied.
They were going to get a conviction.
Yeah.
They had the check, for Christ's sake. They had surveillance. They had text messages. The police chief even did a press conference being like, this dude faked it. And this is BS, and it undermines these marginalized groups. So all of a sudden, he shows up to court with a smile on his face for an emergency hearing with the court. And the judge said, after reviewing all the facts and circumstances of the case, Mr. Smollett's volunteer service in the community, an agreement to forfeit his $10,000 bond to the city of Chicago, we believe the outcome is a just, disproportionate, and appropriate resolution to this case. And so basically they dropped all the charges. The district attorney dropped, for no apparent reason, out of nowhere, dropped all the charges. And then on top of that, the judge sealed the case so that the public could never know what was actually in there. Mm-hmm. Wow. What the frick? Dude. You know, was such a ballsy move because everybody hated this guy. It was no longer a political thing. The left and the right were both like, dude, this guy needs to go down.
Yeah.
This was a horrible, treacherous thing that he did. So he goes out. His lawyers go out and start giving press conferences and interviews and shit, talking about, oh, he's innocent. But actually, so the DA had to make a clarified statement. She said, an alternate disposition does not mean that there were any problems or infirmities with the case or the evidence. We stand behind the Chicago Police Department's investigation and our decision to approve charges in this case. They explained and stressed that because we dropped the case does not exonerate Smollett.
Yeah. It's so weird. I just don't understand it. And I feel like after we dealt with our lawsuit, I have a better understanding of how this stuff works. Mm-hmm. And it puts this in even such a worse light, knowing, because for example, when we were trying to come into agreements with Matt Haas, we were presented with some options of like, okay, he'll drop the case, and but it will be sealed and no one can talk about it. Mm-hmm. And the problem that we had with it was that if no one can talk about it, no one will know if we were in the right, if we were in the wrong. Mm-hmm. And if you're innocent, why would you want that? Wouldn't you? So we knew we were innocent.
Lost, dude.
We weren't okay with not being able to ever talk about it. That's not going to give anyone any answers.
Right.
So I feel like from his perspective, if you're innocent of such an awful crime, why would you want to seal it? And
also, so when you want to seal information, you have to make a petition to the judge, and I think also your opponent. Mm-hmm. For example, there was information in our case that was sealed that was just basically like private financial numbers that they had subpoenaed in discovery. And so we made a request to seal it, and the judge granted that. So in this case, the district attorney was the one that dropped the charges. So she was in collusion with his attorneys. Mm-hmm. So they agreed together to seal it up.
Yeah. And then what's even more confusing is that now he's walking around telling people that he's innocent.
I was innocent. I never lied.
Which doesn't make any sense on top of it
because it goes back to almost the Michael Jackson thing. It's like, just because you weren't convicted doesn't mean you're not innocent. And in this case, the DA even had to go out and make a statement and say, you were not exonerated.
Yeah. They're not saying like the evidence was wrong.
No.
They're not taking back anything.
We just dropped it, and we don't know why. So here, he held a press conference right afterwards. So let's watch that. TMZ, baby.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
I just made a couple notes. First of all, I want to thank my family, my friends, the incredible people of Chicago and all over the country and the world who have prayed for me, who have supported me, who've shown me so much love. No one will ever know how much that has meant to me, and I will forever be grateful. I want you to know that not for a moment was it in vain. I've been truthful and consistent on every single level since day one. I would not be my mother's son if I was capable of one drop of what I have been accused of. This has been an incredibly difficult time.
Not my mama's
honestly, one
son.
of the worst of my entire life. But I'm a man of faith, and I'm a man that has knowledge of my history, and I would not bring my family, our lives, or the movement through a fire like this. I just wouldn't. So I want to thank my legal counsel from the bottom of my heart. And I would also like to thank the state of Illinois for attempting to do what's right. Now I'd like nothing more than to just get back to work and move on with my life. But make no mistakes, I will always continue to fight for the justice, equality, and betterment of marginalized people everywhere. So again, thank you for all the support. Thank you for faith, and thank you to God. Bless y'all. Thank you very much.
So,
do you have any words for the LGBTQ community and the folks who have supported
that I am you, that I stand with you forever.
And they've supported you throughout all of this?
And I love them. I love them. I'm one of them, so I love them.
And you've been getting a lot of congratulations today from folks on this day?
Like
yeah. How about your cast members?
They're wonderful. They're my family.
Yeah,
so there you have it.
They've been sending you praise
They've
and
been
love today.
wonderful. Everybody's
he's saying I'm innocent, even though that, you know. Dude, that guy is not. If that guy acts again, I'm the Pope.
Pulling your hand away.
Yeah, I'm pulling my hand right away from that.
It's such a disconnect. Like
Yeah.
everything that he just said, it's like.
Well, it's just so frustrating because we're all so invested in this miscarriage of justice. And then all of a sudden he shows up, charges are dropped, sealed, and he walks out and he's talking about, oh, I'm innocent, I never lied. Then, right afterwards, the police chief and the mayor of Chicago hold a joint press conference and listen to this. I mean, this is just explode. Like,
so
listen to these guys. This is the police chief.
I'm sure we all know what occurred this morning. My personal opinion is that you all know where I stand on this. Do I think justice was served? No. Where do I think justice is? I think this city is still owed an apology. And let me digress for a moment. When I came on this job, I've been a cop now for about 31 years. When I came on this job, I came on with my honor, my integrity, and my reputation. If someone accused me of doing anything that would circumvent that, then I would want my day in court, period, to clear my name. I've heard that they want.
Well, it makes him look like a real idiot.
And we've been there too. We didn't want to not be able to talk about it and no one knows who won, who was right, who was wrong. If you're innocent, you want it to be known that you're innocent.
Right. No, that guy's, as far as I could tell, I don't know why the police and the mayor would go out and put their necks out. I mean, it seems like they had irrefutable evidence that he was going down. Well, even the judge and what she said was like, oh, well, he did some community service. Dan, you were saying that it's already been served. He doesn't even need to do anything.
Right. Yeah. It's retroactive, essentially. They're crediting him for the fact that he apparently has in the past done a lot of community service.
And he had a $10,000 bail, so they're like, they kept that. What a joke.
What is $10,000 for him? It's nothing.
Well, if he doesn't work for the next 20 years, it might be. What a joke, man. What a joke. Come on, this crime was so bad. It was such a heinous crime he committed. So here's the mayor speaking.
One thing is not only do I support the hard work of our police officers, the defective units, but I'd like to remind everybody, a grand jury indicted this individual based on only a piece of the evidence that the police had collected in that period of time. So a grand jury actually brought the charges. I think on three things I'd like to say. One, on financial costs, this $10,000 doesn't even come close to what the city spent in resources to actually look over the camera, gather all the data, gather all the information that actually brought the indictment by the grand jury on many, multiple different charges. Second is what I would call the ethical costs. And the ethical costs is you have as a person who was in the House of Representatives when we tried to pass the Shepard legislation that dealt with hate crimes, putting them on the books, that President Obama then signed into law, to then use those very laws and the principles and values behind the Matthew Shepard hate crimes legislation to self-promote your career is a cost that comes to all the individuals, gay men and women, who will come forward and one day say they were a victim of a hate crime who now will be doubted. People of faith, Muslim or any other religious faith, who will be a victim of hate crime.
So you get it. They go out there and they blast him, basically, right afterwards. I mean, the mayor and the police chief, come on. He makes a good point. The guy's wealthy. Why are we letting him off on $10,000? You know what I mean?
Well, there's a late update to this story just a couple hours ago, actually, on Friday morning, that City of Chicago is now demanding that he pay $130,000 to the City of Chicago to cover the overtime hours from the investigation. And I got the letter right here in front of me, and it's kind of weird because in an attempt to resolve this matter without further legal action, the city requires the immediate payment of $130,000. Wait, it's actually $130,106.15. Especially that 15 cents. Expended on overtime hours in the investigation of this matter. Blah blah blah. If the amount is not timely paid, the Department of Law may prosecute you for making a false statement to the city.
Wait, they can still go and do that?
I mean, this is an official. This is
wow. I wonder if he's going to pay it. That's crazy. Because if he pays, it's almost an admission of guilt, right?
Right. Isn't it kind of weird though that they're like basically shaking him down?
I don't know.
Not to say that it's not deserved, but just that scenario of
down.
pay the money or we're going to prosecute you seemed kind of.
It is kind of weird to be like, do this or this happens. I agree that it's kind of extortionist.
I don't know.
That is kind of because usually
weird.
you would either just do
right. If you guys believe that he committed this crime,
just charge him.
Then charge him. Yeah, and shake him down. For
Well,
money.
apparently they did, but
right, it didn't work.
Someone above.
The state attorney dropped the case.
Right.
They're clearly pissed.
So here is when we get interesting. Now, these text messages were apparently leaked between this woman, Kim Fox, who is the state attorney who was in charge of this case, overseeing this case against Jussie. And then what's his name? Jussie Smollett. Jussie.
Yeah.
I'm gonna combine.
Yeah, kind of.
The guy's got some weird shit going on in his name. It's just a little twist. And then you've got Tina. That's a weird last name. It's missing a vowel in there. How do you say that?
I'm gonna assume the T is silent and it's just Chen.
Chen.
Tina Chen.
Oh, that makes sense. She is Asian. I saw a picture of her. Tina. Probably not like that.
Probably not.
So Tina is an influential politician.
Chief of staff to Michelle Obama at one point, right?
Yes. And by the way, the mayor also was chief of staff for Obama, so I think it's important. I don't think it's an Obama conspiracy. I think this lady.
There's Obamas on both sides.
There is a conspiracy out there. I haven't looked into it too much.
I mean, apparently Michelle Obama was friends with Jussie.
Oh, she was directly?
Again, don't quote me on that. I might be wrong.
Okay.
No,
yeah.
maybe
If
with
you're
someone who
surprised, then I'm
represents.
probably wrong. But either way, let's just say these are the facts. Tina is texting Kim, who's in charge of prosecuting Jussie. Now, Dan, how confirmed are these? How confirmed are these text messages? These showed up on TMZ.
Yeah, they showed up on TMZ, which of course was a little skeptical at first, but it has since been re-reported in the Chicago Tribune and New York Times. Like it seems to be verified. It's being widely disseminated.
And as trashy as TMZ is, their reporting is usually pretty accurate.
Yeah, kind of hate TMZ, but they don't lie usually. So,
so here, how the F did they get these text messages? By the way, the freaking crazy.
This story is so big. I don't know why they thought that people would just let it rest.
I know it was the ballsiest,
the whole country was
shit
invested.
ever. So here's the thing. It says, "Hi Kim, I sent an email to your work address. I think as well. I wanted to give you a call on behalf of Jussie Smollett and the family I know. They have concerns about the investigation. I bet they do. If I was his mom, I would too. I'm on an 8 a.m. flight to New York City, but please call me before then. I land about 10:15 Chicago time. My cell phone is. Many thanks. She says it like she owes her. You know what I mean? Please, she says it like, call me before then. Please call me before. She says it like she's her boss or something. You know what I mean? There's a air of dominance there. Kim responds, spoke to the Superintendent Johnson. I convinced him to reach out to the FBI to ask that they take over the investigation. He's reaching out now, and will get back to me shortly. Sent from my iPhone. Thank you. I think blank is going to call you. Oh, they redacted. I think blank is going to call you.
By the way, the Superintendent Johnson reference there is the gentleman, the police officer in that video.
Oh, interesting.
That we watched, yeah.
So then she responds, thank you. Oh my God, this would be a huge victory. I make no guarantees, but I'm trying. I understand. I appreciate the efforts. Hey, hope all is well. I wanted to check in with you about what's happening here when you have a moment. Okay, are you available to chat now? Yes. Okay, calling now. So clearly, the person who is in charge of prosecuting Jussie is
She has some sympathies.
is in her own words, let's see. I make no guarantees, but I'm trying. In response to this would be a huge victory. Trying to undermine her own case. I mean, that is so shady. Hello? Why are we trying to exonerate? Why are we trying to let go this guy who committed the most heinous crime? So awful. But then this takes a hilarious twist. Hila, you're going to love this. Jussie's lawyers go on an interview on the Today Show. She maintains his innocence and claims, wait for it, what does she claim?
What?
Eyes that he saw the skin surrounding their eyes. Was that a false statement?
So just to be clear, he only saw one of the attackers. One of them he didn't see. He saw one through a ski mask. Again, he could not see their body. Everything was covered, and he had a full ski mask on except the area around the eyes. He did tell police that from what he saw, he thought it was pale skin or white or pale skin was, I think, what he said. And that was and that's why he initially did have a hard time.
Why did he say that? He could have said, I don't know.
Right here.
He could have, but this, again, he's
But
being
if it's the
truthful.
Osundairo brothers, what are the chances that that's the case, that he saw somebody with light skin?
Well, I think there's obviously you can disguise that. You could put makeup on. There is actually, interestingly enough, a video. I think police did minimal investigation in this case. It took me all of 5 minutes to Google. I was looking up the brothers, and one of the first videos that showed up actually was one of the brothers in whiteface doing a Joker monologue with white makeup on.
What?
The attackers were two black guys that he knew. And she's saying, well, they may have been in whiteface.
What?
So that's how they're defending him now. And interestingly, there was actually now rumored to be a third attacker. This is the picture they. Oh fuck! I ruined the joke.
Well, that's the attacker in whiteface.
Yeah, that's
that they're talking about.
Yeah, but here.
Because that doesn't.
And interestingly,
look white.
Hila, there was rumored to be a third attacker.
Oh my God!
Whiteface man.
Are you kidding
No,
me?
that guy looks
Ethan.
white.
That's not me. That's whiteface.
Ethan.
She's seriously saying that the guy.
So let me pull this up now. She found this photo of him on social media and said, oh, well, dude, he's in whiteface.
That if you saw
His
that
eyes are-
up close.
Oh, yeah. It would be so not,
Clearly a white man.
I mean, this story reeks, man. It's so corrupt. It's fair. I've almost never in my life in America experienced corruption like on
Getting
this
bad, man.
under this spotlight, under this level of scrutiny, and just shown up. He had a smile on his face when we went to court. I am good. Thank you, everyone, for believing me. I'm innocent. I just want to move on with my career.
Also, it's all so confusing. The statement that they released doesn't say that he's innocent. So
No,
why are you walking around saying you're innocent?
Well, I hate to say it, but it's kind of like it's the war on truth. I mean, Trump does the same thing. The DA's statement said, It does not exonerate Trump, but we did not have the evidence to bring charges. Or they says we did not find evidence of collusion, but we could not exonerate him on obstruction of justice. And now he goes around saying, I'm totally and fully exonerated.
Yeah.
It's like you can say, there's no truth anymore.
It's all spin. Well, I think it's interesting, too, with the Smollett thing. I look around on Twitter and stuff, and on his social media, he's got a ton of support. And people.
Yeah, that surprised me.
Well, it did it to me at first, too, but you got to realize, not from Chicago, I don't know a ton about it, but Chicago is like legendarily corrupt. And Chicago PD, specifically, the police are worse than LAPD. Have a reputation for being corrupt. And I'm not saying that he didn't do it. It seems pretty obvious that he did. But that's the problem when there's no accountability. In the same way that he's crying wolf with this hate crime shit, when the police are not accountable to anything, nobody believes them when they are telling the truth. You know what I mean? And everybody just sticks to their guns. So.
Are we talking about on a national scale he has support?
I don't. I mean, I think so. I mean, it's a national story.
That surprised me because he really undermined black.
I think most people.
I see both reactions.
But yeah, for sure, if you go on social media, you go to his Twitter, you got tons of fans saying, "Fuck the police."
Man, I hope
they're trying to frame you. They're trying to set you up. All that kind of stuff. So,
I don't know what the mayor has to gain by going out there, who's like an Obama staffer.
Oh, for sure. No, again, I think he did it.
Well, again, even his own, even the DA that dropped the charges says, I want to make clear it does not exonerate him. Well, she basically says he's guilty. She says, in exchange for his community service and his $10,000, if he wasn't guilty, why would they keep his $10,000? They're basically what she's saying is, we're letting him off easy.
Yeah.
Community service and $10,000. That's your punishment for the crime. Yeah, the guy did it. So that was a whole story. That was like a whole freaking. I was blown away when I saw that on the news. Man, that guy. Well, let's see how this helps his career, which is his original intention.
I like how in his first statement he's like, the first thing I like to do is go back to work. It's like, wouldn't you?
Good luck.
I saw him say that in a couple of different statements. He's clearly very like. You had it all, dude. You're a young man. You had a great gig. You were making millions of dollars. You had to take a frickin' shortcut. You got off easy, man. You want to go back to work. You should go in a hole and just fucking disappear. Crazy. You should be in jail, dude.
Well, I wonder. I mean, is anybody going to want to touch this guy now?
No way.
The lightning rod, yeah.
Dude, no way. I think I would boycott if I saw him in a movie. I personally wouldn't want to support him.
I can't imagine that it would be in a movie.
I don't think anyone's going to cast his ass. Yeah. This is an awful thing to do.